This is our second podcast, although the first one is still under production, right?
Right.
Maybe. I think we went over too long.
It's getting there.
So what's today's topic?
I mean, it feels like we never really have a topic, but what we talked about before, I think that when you better yourself, you better the people around you. I think that's a good.
Absolutely, I agree. I think one of the barriers to a lot of people is their inability to control their emotions. I think that when events inherently, they don't have any meaning unless you give it to them. If some stranger calls you something, from across the street, you may or may not get angry about it, but if your friend calls you something, you get immediately angry. But the words are the same. The words are the same, but they're coming from different. So it's the meaning that you've attached to that person,
Right.
or you've attached to that event that makes you a slave to it. You agree?
Yeah, those are all things that you can't control. Those are things that just happen to you that come with life, and they are annoying, and sometimes they're hurdles, and sometimes they're frustrating, but you can also look at them as opportunities to grow, that the next time this presents itself, it's not going to have that same effect on you, or you're going to have, like you said, the perspective aspect of it. You're going to have a different perspective, and it's not going to feel like the same event. It's going to feel like a totally new happening.
Yeah, there's a phenomenon called reframing, where you actually reframe the situation. But the problem is that people can't take their ego out of it. The ego always wants to be acknowledged, and it wants to be right. And if you can detach from your ego, you can be pretty much untouchable. Words can just be words.
Right.
Events can just be events. But as long as you attach a meaning to them that is going to cause you to have emotional responses, you are basically a slave to them. You're not free.
Right. And when you're surrounding yourself with people, I mean, I often bring up family because that's the easiest for me, but I feel like your energy is contagious. Like your mindset, your habits, your emotions, everything that you're doing is rubbing off on the people around you, even subconsciously. So I feel like if you change your energy, you change your habits, you do the things around yourself that's going to better yourself, that's going to rub off on them. That's going to translate into their lives.
Absolutely. And so when you said that, those are things that happen, those are things you can't control, but you can. And that's the goal, is to be able to control those. Because when you have control over your mind, you are pretty much, you're an untouchable person.
Right.
So if you imagine someone trying to provoke you, yet they can't do it, the steam just goes away. And people equate not responding with weakness, but it's the opposite. That's the strength. The strong person is the one that is not controlled by someone else. If someone else tries to make them their puppet, it doesn't work. That's strength. That's definitely not weakness. So I think that, with that being said, is that, there are several steps to becoming the best version of yourself. And for the 99% of it comes from within. And that's one of the biggest ones. Is you have to be able to control yourself, be able to control your emotions, have the discipline to not react, because not everything requires a reaction. And there is a difference between a reaction and a response. A response is what happens when you take the time between the stimulus to gather your thoughts and create a well thought out response. People who have knee-jerk reactions, those people the other people control them. And then when you hold on to resentment and anger, they're just controlling you. You're tied to a situation. You replay events in your head over and over.
Yeah,
You are, and the other person that did it, it's already, you're holding on to events that are already in the past.
well, I've thought about this a few times, and because we work together in the ER, I actually work for him, but we see the people that come in, maybe with some psychiatric illness or something, and they're constantly talking to themselves and having conversations with people that aren't there, and we look at them like, oh, like you're crazy or whatever. However, we look, maybe not you're crazy, but to the same effect, we're doing the same thing. If we're replaying events in our head and we're having conversations of like, I should have said this, or I should have done this, or whatever, we're sitting there talking to ourselves, and like you said, it's already out of their mind, and you're just you're dwelling on that situation, and I feel like it's taking a part of you that you don't need to let it.
It is. It's depleting your energy. You are depleting your energy on someone who has moved beyond what happened. And when you do that, you continue to be tied to that position, and you can't grow.
Right.
Most people want success without suffering, right? But the two don't come hand in hand. But if you reframe your thought process, that when something comes and it's a struggle, and you think of it as this is your opportunity for growth, it doesn't become a struggle anymore. It is one of those things that you just know it comes. And when it comes, are you prepared? If you're not prepared, can you get yourself through it? Because on the other side of it, you're going to be that much stronger. Whereas people shy away and they say, oh, I'd rather, I'm more, I want to stay in my comfort zone. Well, staying in your comfort zone is it's synonymous with being weak and staying in one place your whole life. And if your goal is to stay in one place your whole life, then hey, by all means, stay in your comfort zone. But if you want success, or if you want to become the best version of yourself, it's not going to happen without struggle. No one has ever just lucked up on success. Success didn't just come to their front door.
Right.
No, they went out and they found it. And how do you find it? The people, it's the things you do behind closed doors. You don't see the number one basketball team at practice every day, but we know they're there, and they're struggling, and they are they're going hard, and they're staying disciplined, and they're there every day, day in and day out. But what you do see is the results, right? Because the results are what we pay to go watch. We want to go watch the game, right? The winners, the difference between the winners and the losers is it's discipline. It's discipline. It's how they deal with struggle. And so day in and day out, they put themselves in situations that are hard, because you can't predict everything that life's going to throw at you. You can't predict everything that's going to happen in the game. But if you can create events that are hard at practice, when the events happen in the game, they're not so hard.
Right. Exactly.
So if you expose yourself just a little bit every day to something that's not easy, you're getting that much closer to becoming a stronger person. I mean, that's how we do it with people that have fears. If they're afraid of an elevator, you put them on an elevator. They're afraid to come out the door, you put one step out the door. It's you can't do it all at once. It has to be a slow progression, but it has to be a progression. You have to be moving forward. If you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. There's no in between.
And how do you think that ties into the people around you?
I think that, if you surround yourself with people who are not as smart as you, you're going to lose IQ points.
Okay.
If you surround yourself with people who are lazy and have no drive, you too will become that. But if you surround yourself with people who have similar goals, or people who are striving for something, people who are going to celebrate your success, you are going to be a very successful person.
Right.
So it's really important that you know who you have around you, because those people are going to shape your future just like you're going to shape their future.
Yeah. When you're better, you raise the collective standard of the people around you. You again, bringing it back to the family, like I feel like you're supposed to be the anchor, and if you're not a very good anchor, what's going to happen to your family? They're going to drift. They're going to end up somewhere that they didn't intend to be. And I feel like it should be your job to hold everybody together, right?
Yeah, I think at a certain point, yeah, that's true. You have to, you more or less have to continue to better your. I think when you're thinking about it, you think about it in a way that you are, I don't know, the role model. So you're the role model of everybody, and so everybody's watching you, and not everybody's watching you to see you win. You know, there's always people that are watching you to see you fail.
Yeah.
But for the most part, people are watching you because they want to be like you, especially if you are the one that's, doing great. I mean, that's in my opinion. And so you don't have to worry about carrying it on your shoulders. I think that if you set the example, then you'll see that people will follow you, because it's, people don't respond to problems. So you have these people that walk around and tell you their problems, or post on social media their problems, or and they're looking for sympathy. They're looking for someone to respond to their disappointment, and very few people do that. There are some people who put some likes and, oh, I'm so sorry this happened, but people don't generally respond to problems. People respond to progress. So if you have a person on there now who is, you can see their transformation, you can see them getting better, raising to next levels, people respond to that. And you'll see a whole lot of people saying, oh, great job, that's awesome, strong work. Because people don't care about your problems.
Right.
Those are yours. And I don't, there's nobody coming to save you. You are your own.
We have enough problems in
Right.
life. I don't want to talk about your problems
Right.
too.
Right. Nobody goes on there to see. Now, there are people who are, who like reality TV and they like to see your downfall. But for the most part, they don't care about your problems. They care about your progress. So you have to always be progressing. You can't be sitting still.
Right.
That's it.
That was good. I think you killed that one.
Okay. Maybe I talk too much. But all right. That very good then.
Okay, cool.